So I found more toxicity in the gaming community, and you'll never guess where from. Hi, I'm Gooba, and if you're watching this channel, there's a more than likely chance that you're at least familiar with the Nancy Drew PC game series. If somehow you're not, that's very surprising to me, but I'll fill you in real quick. The Nancy Drew game series consists of 33 point-and-click mystery games developed by Her Interactive, an independent game studio started in 1995. Over the years, the series has garnered a very loyal fan base who essentially grew up with the series and therefore are very nostalgic for the old games. Now, I personally was not around for the heyday of the Nancy Drew series, but my girlfriend Jetpack certainly was, and she's made sure that the name Nancy Drew is now firmly embedded in my little gamer brain. And since the announcement of the next game in April of last year, I've gotten to experience the excitement right along with the community. So with a new game in the works from such a beloved franchise, it's safe to assume that the fan base is excited and in good spirits, right? Oh God. Oh no. They've gone full gamer. Okay, I'm sure this will not be the most well-received video I ever make, but after experiencing every single game in this series and interacting with the community for the last few years, I feel like I can confidently say, can we chill out a bit? With 33 games in this series and a new one in development, I don't think it's unfair to say that this fan base is insanely lucky. You have an entire catalog of fleshed out, unique games that you can go back to and enjoy at any time, and confirmation of a new one on the way. That is vastly more than most other indie game series have to offer. Among the best indie games of all time, a majority of them are standalone titles, or maybe got one sequel years after the original. The Nancy Drew series used to receive 1 to 2 games a year, and always revealed a teaser for the next game at the end of the story. I cannot overstate how incredibly uncommon that is for most indie studios, and how that is basically unheard of in today's video game industry. And don't be mistaken, Her Interactive is an indie studio. They publish their own games, they don't have any major console backing, and compared to most studios, they have a very small team working on their games. So the fact that they were able to pull off 2 full games a year for almost 2 decades is, for lack of a better word, fucking bananas. But today's gaming industry is not what it was 20 years ago, and I think this fanbase's expectations need to be updated to reflect that. I'm sure a lot of fans of the series know this, but Her Interactive wasn't doing too well during the mid-2010s. In 2014, their CEO unexpectedly quit and was replaced by the current CEO, Penny Milliken. The next year, more than half of the studio staff was laid off right before the release of Game 32, Sea of Darkness. And then, after releasing Sea of Darkness, and while developing the next game that had already been announced, Midnight in Salem, it was decided that all games moving forward would be developed on the Unity engine, instead of the proprietary engine that Her Interactive had used for all previous games. That means that a smaller team now has to learn an entire new engine after already announcing the next game to a fan base that expects games every 6 months. That is a level of pressure that I wouldn't wish on my worst enemy. And of course you could say that all of those issues were the result of decisions made by higher-ups at Her Interactive, and you'd be right, but those decisions did affect the developers who were actively working on the next game and trying to live up to the expectations of their extremely loyal fan base. Fast forward 4.5 years, more than 9 times the usual wait for a new game, Midnight in Salem finally releases, and it's not very good. The game was graphically unimpressive, especially for the fancy new engine. Mechanics felt clunky, and the new voice of Nancy Drew was jarring for longtime fans of the series. Clearly, all the changes at the studio, and having to learn an entire new engine, did not set the team up for success with Midnight in Salem. And on top of that, there was no teaser at the end of the game for the next in the series. After such a long wait, and basically radio silence from Her Interactive through most of it, most fans felt like the Nancy Drew series was not long for this world. So after Midnight in Salem turned out pretty mid, see what I did there? Several years of silence in regards to new games was not what ND fans were looking for. Her stayed active on social media and their blog, organizing fan contests and discounting their old catalog, but nothing was being said publicly about a new game in the works. It seemed like Her might just ride the wave of their old games off into the sunset, but that all changed on April 1st, 2023. One of the ways Her Interactive was still actively interacting with their fans was through a monthly newsletter. However, in April 2023's newsletter, at the very end, there's a cryptic handwritten note from Nancy to the fans of the series saying that she's getting ready for her next adventure. At the same time, Her Interactive archived all of their posts on social media, including the collab we did with them, hinting that something big was coming. The community fully erupted into theories about what this could mean. Was this a twisted April Fool's joke, or was it confirmation that Game 34 was finally in the works? Fans went back to the newsletter and found clues and hidden messages throughout, and content creators started making videos and discussing their theories on stream. We even made a video on our channel, which you should watch, link in description. And after a few more days of discussion and speculation, on April 4th, Her Interactive dropped this video. After 3.5 years of waiting, Nancy Drew fans finally had confirmation that a new game was in the works. But the excitement didn't stop there. Over the next 2 months, fans were treated to multiple updates a week, including new character designs, environments from the game, new original music, and all of it was filled with little puzzles and Easter eggs hinting at the unknown details of the game. It was basically the perfect way to build excitement for puzzle-loving amateur detectives. On May 26th, Her Interactive dropped a teaser that finally revealed the location of the game, Prague, and the title, Mystery of the Seven Keys. So the title wasn't exactly a surprise to fans. Many of them knew that Her Interactive had filed a trademark for that exact phrase back in 2021. We also made a video about that. Please watch our videos. But finally, fans had something that they thought they might never have again. Something they had grown accustomed to getting at the end of every game, and that they had been waiting for since 2019. The setting and title of the next game. So what the hell happened? Why am I making this video that's definitely going to piss off a good chunk of our viewers? Well, it's because of what's been happening the last few months. It's been less than a year since Seven Keys was officially announced, and Her Interactive has still been pretty good about keeping fans updated. It may not be quite as frequent as it was last year, but that's presumably because they're right in the thick of development. But now it's like every piece of information is only met with scrutiny and people saying, give us the release date, when they're lucky the developer gives them as much information as they have. Game development is insanely hard and time consuming and comes with a ton of pressure from not only the fan base but also investors. Nobody wants development to take years, especially the development team. But trust me, you don't want a game that was rushed out the door half finished either. I am not a game developer, but I have seen countless times over the years what public pressure and time constraints does to games and the people who make them. The times when Her could crank out 2 games a year is over. And quite frankly, I think it should be. I can't imagine the level of crunch it took to pull that off for 15 years. It is also objectively a terrible time to be a game developer. New reports are constantly coming out about the horrible workplace conditions people face in the games industry. Not to mention all the major acquisitions and overhiring that took place during the pandemic when games were at their highest demand. That's now leading to mass layoffs from some of the biggest developers in the gaming space. PlayStation just laid off 900 people across almost all of its studios and completely shut down its London studio. And this is just the most recent major layoff. There have been over 16,000 people in the gaming industry who've lost their jobs in the last year. This is an industry-wide problem and no studio is safe. If they put out a bad game, or sales weren't as good as their investors were expecting, or if public interest runs out, any studio could be the next on the chopping block. And that's not excluding Her Interactive. So when they take a minute to share a little glimpse of their game with you, don't immediately ask for more or pile on added pressure. Just appreciate that work is being done and your favorite series is still alive. Not every fan base can say that.